Hello Fearless Gamers, Matt here for Fearless Games, and welcome to another entry in the Book Corner. Today's book review is going to be on Ashes of the Imperium by Chris Wraight. Before we start this video, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. That way you know when more of these videos come out. Hit that little bell icon so YouTube actually tells you when these videos come out. And give this video a like. That way it gets out there and circulates more. And I can also see what content you guys really want to see. This helps me out greatly with deciding what kind of video content to give to you guys. And like I said, it helps out the channel a lot. And we really appreciate it if you could do that. So, with that out of the way, let's continue with the video. Horus is dead. The Emperor has been interred on the Golden Throne, and the universe is in turmoil. While the Imperium struggles with two factions, with two different ideologies on what they should be doing next, while the forces of chaos find themselves without a leader and without direction, but a single drive to survive and continue this fight, because for them, the war isn't over yet. All in all, I really like this book. This was a great pairing to follow up with The End and the Death, because I felt like that epilogue didn't give me a whole lot of satisfaction to the end of the story, but this book really fills in that void for me and gives me that action I was really looking forward to seeing now that the siege is over. It primarily follows 2 points of view, one being Rogel Dorn, who, now that there are fresh forces at Terror in the form of the Dark Angels, the Ultramarines, and the Space Wolves, wants to go out and hunt down the remainder of the traitors and kill them once and for all, so they cannot be a threat again. But he finds himself in opposition to Rabute Guilliman, who, with the rest of the Administratum, believes now is the time to regroup and reform the Imperium, because that's what they need right now. They're not prepared or set up to handle a new attack, a new crusade. They think they should just bunker down and rebuild. The traitors are dealt with, they're no longer a threat, and they can deal with them at their leisure. The other side of the story is a band of Iron Warriors who refused the order to withdraw when Perturabo left the siege, deciding instead to stick with it until the very end. Now, trapped in the Sol system, they have to find a way out of the system and figure out what their next move is going to be, because to them, this war isn't over, it has just begun. This story gives us a wonderful insight into the mindsets of multiple different points of view within the Imperium, and how a lot of the bureaucracy and plotting and scheming that we all know today in 40K, how it all kind of started. It also leads to some great suspicions about motivations and what's really going on behind the scenes, because it's clear that not everyone is being truthful with each other, and it seems more like selective information is being given out in order to benefit their side of the arguments. We also get a lot of cool interactions with multiple Primarchs, something we didn't get a whole lot of in the Horus Heresy because they were all off doing different things, but now we get to see the majority of them together, talking to each other, and trying to figure out what the best next move is. And like I said, one of the best things about this is just looking at it and going, wow, so this is where the Imperium we know came from. This is how it all started. Seeing all the different reactions to the aftermath and the impact that this had on the Space Marines and the Administratum and the civilians of the Imperium was just awesome. Like I said, this fills in the void that the epilogue of The End and the Death left with me. And I felt that it's just a great setup for the next event in the 40k story, which is the Great Scouring. There was a couple of things that I thought we were going to be building up to that it didn't really do, but it left me jazzed to see them go back and address those events that we know happened later on in the story. The traitor side of it is also really cool because you always see them like in the books going like, oh, we weren't defeated, we will come back and again and rise up. And this one gives us a really good, this is where they were after the siege, which is something they weren't planning for. So this gives us a great mindset of just how they were all thinking and what they were facing and what choices they had to make when they had to flee the system. The story is very well paced. There wasn't any moments where I was bored or tuning out. I was always engaged in the story to try and learn what was going to happen next and what this was leading to, which I think was really cool. It's to me a sign of a great story when you know effectively what's supposed to happen next, but you're still on the edge of your seat to find out what exactly happens next. Especially since this kind of clears up a little bit of that fog of myth that we've always had. We've always gotten these little tiny like snippets and paraphrasing in the form of like historical records dictating what happened, but to see a story where it's like this is how it went down really is really cool and just really puts in perspective all the lore that we know about this time period up until now. And like I said, this is, I believe, a story that they're building up to lead to the next great event in the 40k history, which is the Great Scouring, which I'm looking forward to. And so I cannot wait to see where they go next with this story. What about you guys? What was your favorite part of this book? What was your least favorite part? What are you looking forward to most in the stories to come out? Me personally, I'm really looking forward to the story of the Iron Cage. It's a bit of the lore that I've read about, and I'm really intrigued to just see a whole book dedicated to that event. So that's what I'm mostly looking forward to. And that is all for today. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, fearless gamers, take care.